My name is Thomas. I am 86 years old. If you look at what I currently possess, you will see a life that most people only dare to dream of. Skyscrapers, flashy titles, and an entire empire that I built from scratch with my own two hands. People look at my life and see a fairy tale. They see a living legend. But I am about to tell you something that might make you angry, or it might just break your heart. Everything you are admiring about me, it is all a lie. That pile of money, it's just scrap paper. Those awards, they are gathering dust in a basement I never stepped foot in. It is all garbage compared to the things I destroyed with my own hands to get them. You know, I spent 50 years lying to myself with the very same story you are probably telling yourself right now. I do it all for my family. I grind 18 hours a day so my kids can have the best life. I sacrifice today so the whole family can be happy tomorrow. Sound familiar? It should. That is the most dangerous lie a man can ever tell himself. Society applauds you for it. Your boss praises you for it. But let me be the only one honest enough to tell you the truth. You aren't doing it for them. You are doing it for your own ego. And the price, it is 1,000 times more expensive than you can imagine. I am making this video because my time is running out. I am Thomas, a lonely 86-year-old man. I don't want you to end up like me. I don't want you to wake up one day sitting on a mountain of gold only to realize you are the poorest wretch on earth. Let me tell you about the day my life actually ended. I didn't die that day, but everything that mattered did. That was 6 years ago, when I turned 80. At an age when a man should be enjoying his retirement, I lost everything. One wrong decision, one long slide in the financial markets, and just like that, the fortune I had amassed over a lifetime evaporated as if it never existed. The fair-weather friends, the partners who used to bow to me, they vanished faster than the money left my pocket. At that moment, I braced myself for the final blow, the most painful one. I thought my children would abandon me. I thought they would look at me as a burden, a failed old man with no value left to exploit. That's how the world works when you run out of money, right? But I was wrong. My children, they didn't do that. They are successful, wealthy people, and they reached out their hands. They rented me a luxury apartment. They hired private nurses to care for me 24/7. They paid every bill from the most expensive medication to the most nutritious meals. Looking from the outside, everyone said I was blessed. Everyone said I had raised wonderful filial children. And for a brief moment, I breathed a sigh of relief. I told myself I won. At least I'm not dying on the street. I invested in the right place. But then a week went by. A month went by. Then a year. And I began to realize a truth even more terrible than being abandoned. It was the coldness. A coldness that chilled me to the bone within that very thoughtfulness. The allowance money still arrived regularly on the first of every month, precise as a programmed machine. But there was absolutely nothing else attached to it. No phone calls, no visits, no family dinners. Not a single question of, "Dad, how are you doing lately?" My apartment is full of amenities, but it is so quiet I can hear the blood pulsing in my own veins. The only person who speaks to me is the nurse who is paid by the hour. My children, they fulfill their duty to support me exactly the way people pay off a bank loan. Square, complete, and emotionless. They didn't abandon me, no, they simply don't need me anymore. They pay for me to live, but they don't care how I live. Yesterday afternoon, I went to sit in the park near my home, just to escape the deathly silence of that luxury apartment. And I saw a scene that haunted me all night long. A young man around 30 years old, clothes disheveled, shoes worn down. He looked exhausted, probably just off a shift at some manual labor job. But he was playing tag with his little son on the grass. He had nothing. I could tell just by looking. Maybe he didn't even have $100 in his pocket. But when the little boy fell, he rushed over, scooped him up in a bear hug, and the boy laughed out loud, wrapping his arms tight around his father's neck. The look in that boy's eyes when he looked at his dad, that was the look of seeing a hero, of seeing his whole world. They laughed and rolled around on the grass for 15 minutes. 15 minutes of pure connection. I sat there and the tears just flowed. I looked down at my own hands, hands that used to sign million-dollar checks for my children. I sent them to the most expensive schools. I bought them the fanciest cars when they got to college. I gave them everything money could buy. But I never gave them 15 minutes of chasing on the grass like that. Never. And in that moment, amidst the park, noisy with the sound of children, I realized my true status. I am not a father. For the past 50 years, I was just an investor. I viewed raising children as a business project. I injected capital, I provided resources, and I expected the profit to be their success and their support when I got old. And you know what? I succeeded. The project is complete. I invested enough capital, and now I am receiving my monthly dividends in the form of rent and medical bills. The contract has been liquidated. We are even. Nobody owes anybody anything. But in an economic contract, is there any clause that stipulates love? Is there any line that forces the partner to love the investor? I treated them like employees, and now they treat me like a retired creditor. A cruel, equal exchange. I used money to buy peace of mind, and now I am slowly dying in that lonely peace. Do you know the biggest lie I told myself every night? It was the phrase, later. On my son's 10th birthday, I was in Tokyo closing a merger deal. I told myself, later. Next year I'll make it up to him with a trip to Disneyland. Next year came and I was in London handling a PR crisis. I missed his high school graduation. I was absent the night my daughter cried her eyes out over her first heartbreak, just because I was busy celebrating a record revenue quarter with the board of directors. I always had a number in my head, a ghostly number. I told my wife, when I make enough $1 million, I'll stop, I'll come home. But when the account hit 1 million, I found it too meager. I wanted 5 million, then 10 million. The goalposts just kept moving further away. You just keep chasing that ball of money until you are exhausted and collapse, while the only audience that matters, your family, went home long ago. And what did I do to fix those mistakes? I threw money at the problem. Literally. I bought them the latest gaming consoles, designer clothes, and luxury cars the moment they were old enough to drive. I watched them open their gifts and I felt smug. Look what an amazing father I am. I provide everything, they lack nothing. I mistook their smiles when receiving gifts for love. It wasn't. That wasn't love. Those were receipts. That was the confirmation that the transaction was complete. Dad hands over the money, and the kids are no longer allowed to demand Dad's time. People often ask me, "Why did you lose your children?" I tell them I didn't lose them at all. Using the word lose sounds like it was some random accident. No, I sold them. I sold my right to be a father. I took those peaceful Saturday mornings to the black market and traded them for market share. I traded bedtime stories for handshakes in boardrooms. I sold every moment of their growing up in exchange for fat contracts. And do you know what the market value of a father is when the deal closes? It is a big, fat zero. There is a memory that still haunts me at 3 in the morning whenever I can't sleep in this cold apartment. It was when my daughter was 7 years old. She had spent the whole week drawing a portrait to give to me. It was a scribbled drawing smudged with crayons depicting me with a giant head and a crooked smile. She ran into my home office, eyes shining, holding the drawing up high with both hands like a treasure. At that moment, I was on an incredibly tense call with a partner. Do you know what I did? I waved her away. I didn't even bother to look down at the drawing for a single second. I pointed to the door, frowning, signaling for her to get out. She froze, her smile extinguished. She dropped the drawing on the floor and silently walked out, closing the door ever so gently. After the call, I crumbled up that drawing and threw it in the trash can. The next day, to make up for yelling at her, I bought her the most expensive professional art set I could find. Imported top of the line. I put it on her desk and thought that I had compensated her sufficiently. But you know what? She never opened that box of paints. Not once. That box sat on her bookshelf for 10 years, covered in dust, like a monument to my stupidity. She didn't need fancy paints. She needed me to look at her. She needed her dad to see her love. But I was too busy to see anything other than numbers. Only now, empty-handed, do I truly grasp a definition of value that no business school teaches you. Money is powerful. Yes, it can buy you a house, but it can never buy you a home. Those are two completely different things. A house is built with bricks and mortar, but a home is built with presence and patience. Money can buy obligation. My children are fulfilling their obligations perfectly. They pay the rent, they hire the nurses, not a penny short. But money cannot buy forgiveness. Forgiveness is the most luxurious commodity on earth. It must be accumulated over time by listening, by being there when people need you most. And me, I went bankrupt in that currency a long time ago. I look around at my old friends. Men of my generation, the winners of the capitalist game. The ones still alive are now lying in 5-star nursing homes, staring at phones that never ring. We are exactly the same. We spent our lives building cages of solid gold, locking ourselves inside, bolting the door tight. And now that we are dying, we scream and ask why no one is bringing the key to open it. Don't look at me with pity. Look at me with fear. Because if you are sitting there right now, holding your phone, checking emails during a family dinner, or planning to skip your child's school play to meet a client, then you are me. You are me 40 years ago. You are standing right at the intersection where I made the wrong turn, and you are barreling into it at full speed. I have a question for you. A question you must answer honestly right now. If tomorrow you were wiped out, your account hits zero, would your children still have a reason to stay by your side? Or would they vanish because the sponsor stopped injecting capital? If the answer makes you hesitate, change immediately. Stop trying to be a hero to strangers. Be a hero in your own living room. Go home early today. Turn off that damn phone. Hug your children tight while they still let you hug them. Don't wait until you are 86 like me to learn the most painful lesson that a gold-plated business card cannot hold your hand when you are dying. That $1 million account cannot hug you when you are crying from loneliness. For me, it is too late. I accept this solitude as my final legacy, a confession to save your family. Take it. Go home. Dinner is still hot. But this is just the first chapter in my diary of mistakes. You think losing connection with my children is the only tragedy? No. I still owe you the story of the devoted wife I betrayed to chase after hollow fame. I still owe you the price I paid with my health, something that I couldn't buy back now even if I paved the floor with money. This hourglass is running out, but I promise to tell it all. Stay here with me, hit follow. Don't let these blood-bought lessons be buried with me 6 feet under. See you again before it's too late.